Hey, what's up, guys? This is Chris Clothier with another episode of The Grind Podcast coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm excited. Back in here recording again. And this week, I'm not even going to wait. I'm diving straight into it because I get to share with everybody something that I don't talk about a lot. In fact, I don't know that I've ever shared this particular story in a venue like this or rarely anywhere else. So, look, in business, there's a lot of lessons that we learn. Sometimes we know we're learning lessons. Sometimes it takes hindsight. You look back and like, wow, that what I went through or that incident or that period of time, it really changed me as an entrepreneur. I'm sharing today what I think of when I look back as the single best lesson I learned as a business owner, the single best lesson I learned as an entrepreneur. And it really resonates with me as a real estate investor as well, because And let me be clear before I go any further, before I go with the because. This is something that gets talked about a lot, but I'm not going to talk about it the way that every social media personality influencer wants to talk about it. Everybody talks about getting vulnerable and what does that mean? And very few people are able to really articulate it to what it means in business. So what I'm talking about, and the way I titled it for today's episode on my whiteboard over here, is getting vulnerable and what they don't teach you in business and entrepreneur school and what they sure as hell aren't showing you through all the social media influencers. When I started my first company, I really had no idea what I was doing. I had great mentors from my older brother, Kent, to my dad, my uncle. I had people around me who had started businesses or run businesses or provided leadership in certain ways. And I had lots of examples to pull from, lots of people that I could develop as a leader, by watching them and experiencing them teaching me. I was super lucky to be able to play sports in college. I played soccer and I played rugby. And with both of those, there were coaches out there that were teaching me how to lead a group of people. They were teaching me how to do step-by-step development through team, environments and through individual environments, and they didn't know that they were teaching me business leadership, but they were teaching me, different nuances of how to be a great leader, how to be a great business owner and entrepreneur, because everything they were teaching is all applicable. It all kind of intertwines into how you are going to conduct yourself in the future. So by the time I started my first business, I believe it was 2004. It was, I believe it was the summer of 2004, right around July 1st was when I started. And guys, I was super experienced in the grocery brokering industry. It was a niche of it called Diverging. And it's so funny how much it mirrors with housing today, because I was finding product inexpensively in one market and selling it to an individual that placed greater value on it. It brought great value to them to purchase it from me at a markup to be able to sell in their stores or in some other part of the country. It's grocery diverting. It was very simple. I found it inexpensive and I sold it for a markup. Nothing to it. I'd been taught this business by my family. Family members before me were extremely good at this. Were great at building companies and leading teams. For me, I was just good at the business, and I wanted to start my own company. So I was living in Denver, Colorado at the time, and I struck out on my own. I get out there, I get my office space. So funny, I got my first LLC. I applied for and got my LLC docs online. I got my official little folder with my stamp and this little seal that I could press on paper and envelopes and stuff to put my seal on all my letterhead and stuff, showing that I was a real company. These are all the things I thought I had to do to be a real company. I incorporated, was really intentional with the selection of my name. I had all these things that I thought were super, super important. And I went and got myself a business space. And I'm not kidding you. You can't tell because you're on the other side of the camera there, but you kind of see my desk area here. This was about how big my office was. I think it was literally a 6x8 office that when you walked into, you had to kind of shove the desk over to get the door to shut. But it was one of those single man offices where, I paid for coffee and a bathroom and somebody to answer the phones up front, and they would answer it as the name of my company and all that good stuff. And I'm off and running. I've got my first business up and going. It's July 1st. I'm experienced. I know what I'm doing, and I'm highly confident. Okay. 3 things that I think are important to be successful. Write those down. All right. I have experience. I'm confident. I'm going into this. I'm going to make this happen. So all that self-belief, all that experience that I had did not prepare me for what I was going to face. 90 days into owning my own company with bills on the line, not just with the business, but also I had to make my own way in life. I've got a son over here. I've got a house I've got to pay for. I've got 2 cars. Forget anything else. I mean, I didn't need cell phones. I didn't need cable. I could get rid of all that stuff, but I wasn't making enough money 90 days in to pay for everything, to cover all the costs. And it began to cause a bit of panic, a bit of worry, because no amount of preparation prepares you for the eventuality, for the possible likelihood of, hell, I can't pay the bills. I don't have enough money to be able to survive. And I will never forget what happened. Two very specific parts of this story. Number one, I sat my wife down and said, I may have to go get another job. I may have to open the want ads. I may have to call contacts I know within the industry. I may have to call people and eat a lot of crow, because I went out and 90 days later, I didn't make it. I was good at what I did. My family had a great name in this industry. To be the first one to say I failed and I got to go back and take a job with somebody else, man, that's going to be a big pill to swallow. I'll never forget Michelle. She was like, look, it's pretty simple. You have enough money in the bank to pay this month's bills, right? I said, yeah. Do you have money in the bank for next month? A little bit, not enough yet. She's like, well, it sounds like you got work to do. Get up off the ground, go to work. You've got however many days until the bills are due. Go make it happen. Go to work. Make your plan, get it done. Okay. If that sounds like unloving, if that sounds like she didn't really care, it's not. It was the most loving advice she could have given me. It was kind of like, quit making excuses and go get some results. We had that sign around our office here today at REI Nation, a little sign that says you can have results or you can have excuses, but you can't have both. You got to pick the one you want. And that's basically what she was telling me. She's like, I've got a family and a household to run. I don't have time for you to sit here and tell me that your business has failed. You either need to make it work or you need to go get a job, one or the other. And that type of pressure and understanding is what led me to the main point of today's podcast. I went to work the next day. I got to work about 5:30 in the morning, because 5:30 where I was 7:30 on the East Coast. And I needed to be up and going because I knew a lot of my clients would already be awake by that time. They'd already be operating. I'd been in this industry, like I said, forever. So I know who shows up and when things get started and when business gets done. And that morning I picked up the phone and called a friend of mine who did business out in Florida. And over the space of a day, we probably had 6, 7, 8 different conversations. One of the first conversations, he did not own the company he worked for, but he was the executive, for whatever you want to call it. He was up there, the number 2 in charge. And the very first conversation we had was about me going to work for them remotely. I'm in Colorado, you're in Florida. Maybe I can go to work for you. Great, super. I mean, it's a positive conversation. We were just going back and forth. What's the possibility? The second conversation was the owner of that company on the phone with me. And that conversation was, I would never hire you. He straight up said, Chris, I would never hire you. You could not work for me. When I got over the devastation, he broke it to me and said, you're too entrepreneurial. You got too many ideas. You come up with too many ways to do something better. You come up with too many improvements for the current processes. Your mind never stops with how you can do things bigger and better and faster and grow. You could never work for me. I don't need that guy. I need the guy that's going to sit there and do what I tell them to do, and that ain't you. Years later, I would realize he was giving me a compliment, but at the moment, I'm a little bit dejected again because I was looking for the wrong solution and I didn't know it. So by this time, it's mid-morning, guys. It's probably, I don't know, it's 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. I get on the phone, back on the phone with Dan. That was his name, the guy that was the number 2 in charge. And me and Dan start talking. And, the nature of my business was I was really good at finding what somebody needed. Okay, so somebody tells me I need this and I need it at a certain price. And I was really good at going over here and finding it at a price low enough for me to make the spread in between. That was my knack. I was really good at being able to find what other people told me they needed. So I knew I've got this whole list of products that I need to find, and I can't find them. What I started with that day was talking to Dan. Dan says, this is what I have. Tell me what you can use. So we start going through every single item, and I'm talking just about every item you can find in a grocery store is on this list. And we're looking for something that I might be able to purchase from him and then put a markup on and sell it to one of my clients that is in need. And so we spend the better part of 12 hours going through this. It is midnight where Dan is. This guy has spent the entire day with me, and through all of these conversations, what's happening is I'm slowly breaking down. I'm slowly unveiling to Dan what my needs are and what problems and challenges and hurdles I'm facing. I'm laying out clear to him why I had that conversation with him to begin with of maybe I could come work for you. I'm laying out for him every single area that I need help with, from leadership to guidance in developing my business to growing my business, wider and deeper at the same time. So I've got more opportunity to be able to produce income for myself and my family back and forth. So, and I'm not doing this in some vacuum with Dan. I'm telling Dan exactly where I'm at. This is how many dollars I have in my bank account. This is how many dollars I need to produce each month. This is what I can get rid of. I can sell this car. I can sell that car. Maybe I got some equity here. Maybe I can move out of my property and I can move into a apartment. Everything I can do that I'm willing to do to not have to go work for somebody else. And slowly but surely, I'm breaking down all the barriers that are keeping me from getting real, keeping me from being willing to put in 12, 14, 16, 18-hour days, whatever it takes to make this successful. Being willing to, instead of this dream of I'm going to be, working for dollars, I'm willing to take dimes right now, because these are the steps you got to take. You go from the dimes to the quarters to the dollars. I'm got these big dreams of how great I'm going to be in the business I'm going to have, but it's years off. I'm still down here in the infancy of my company, and I've got to get vulnerable. I've got to get real with this person across from me. I can't just ask for his help. I can't ask for a job. I can't ask for just give me everything you got. I've got to go and explain to him and be willing to explain to him, this is where I'm at and why I need your help. And it's not just I need money. It's that I need guidance. I need the tutorial. What ended up happening was Dan spent, as I said earlier, almost 12 hours with me that day. I mean, he's well past dinner time for his family. He sacrificed time with his family to go through what were called deal books. And we looked at every single item that Dan could have available for him to be able to purchase and sell to me, for me to be able to buy and sell to somebody else at a markup. I will give you the quick version here. Dan and I stumbled across a couple of items that it took us 12 hours to get there. It took us being willing to keep digging and digging and digging until we came across literal gold. We came across, at the time, they were life-altering items that he was able to purchase products at a price point that was good enough for him to make a very handsome profit on, and to me to make a very handsome profit on, and enough of a profit and enough of a volume at multiple trucks a month where I was able to prop my business up. It provided a base for my business where I would never have the discussion again of perhaps I need to go elsewhere. Perhaps I need to go do something else. I spent the first 90 days of my business thinking I was on top of the world. I showed up every day with my bagel in hand and my little orange juice. I mean, I'm just kind of going out, punching my computer, making my calls, doing my thing, never realizing that I'm burning through all of my cash. I'm just so excited to be an entrepreneur that I'm not paying attention to the details. And then when it took me getting vulnerable with someone who would become a fantastic mentor to me, and telling him exactly what my fears were, exactly what I was facing, the hurdles I had to get over, and the work I was willing to do for it, was when everything broke for me. Was when finally I broke through the barrier that was holding me back, and I became a real entrepreneur, not a fake one. Not the guy that showed up every day, like I said, with his bagel in hand thinking he was doing something big, but the guy who showed up every day with, I'm going to work today. I'm trading my time with my family in, and I'm going to make it successful. I will walk away today making money because I've traded my time in for it. I refuse to go to work and work hard and not get the success that I've drive, that I'm driving for, that I'm striving for. So And that's what Dan taught me. He taught me to get past all of the you're an entrepreneur, you're some dude in business, all the, breaking down your P&Ls and all that stuff, and get to the real nitty gritty. Like every single day, it takes actions, it takes commitment, it takes consistency to be a smart business owner, to be a smart entrepreneur. And at some point, especially when you're starting off, or if you find yourself up against it and you're in a bad spot, it takes getting vulnerable. It takes reaching out to people that can mentor you and guide you and let them know this is what's really happening. Not this stuff, especially today. I didn't deal with social media back then. Not this fake crap we're putting out on Facebook and everywhere else, showing us that we're the stars, that we got everything aligned and we're doing awesome. No, the real situation. When you sit down with somebody, you tell them, this is exactly where I'm at, the challenges I'm facing, and how I want to grow, where I want to get to where I'm going. So long story short, 90 days in, I'm failing. 95 days out, I am on the road to actually having built my first truly successful business, over $20 million a year in annual sales, just me alone. The average ticket was about $15,000. So you're talking about little bitty tickets, but I'm doing over $20 million of them a year in sales. My first company, highly successful. And it's what springboarded me into having the disposable income to be able to invest passively into real estate. That's another story for another day. Guys, I appreciate you joining me on today's podcast. And I want you to understand that the lessons like I'm talking about today, the stories I'm telling, this is, to me, there's nothing more powerful than somebody, and I appreciate this in other people that I talk to, somebody sharing something that's real and authentic, not the fake how-tos and not the kind of the peripheral, but the kind of the real detail. In 15 minutes, I can't get into every single detail, and nor do they matter. They take away from the story. The point of the story is that sometimes we have to admit that we don't know everything. And when we're starting off as entrepreneurs, we got to be willing. When we surround ourselves with people that can help us, we got to get truthful. We got to get down. We got to get dirty and show them and let them help us. All right. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Grind. I'm coming back next Friday. I don't know what topic we're talking about yet, but we'll be sure and let you know before then. And I hope you join me. If you got questions, leave them forward. If you got comments, leave them in the social media sites. If you want to share with all your friends, family, colleagues, whomever. I appreciate it all. Guys, until then, keep on grinding. We'll see you.